Hello and welcome to vlog number 1 of the Orion campaign.
So for those of you who don't know what this means, it's an opportunity for us to talk about the session that we just had. People can ask each other's questions, including myself. I might be able to provide some behind the scenes information and all that good stuff. We had two very awesome guests with two very different characters. Callista, is there anything about Isadora's story or character that you wanted to share that we were not able to touch or get to during this scene?
I would have liked for her to have an option to bargain. Just how it flowed, that never really materialized. But I think it would have been interesting to see what the agents would have thought of the offers she would have attempted to make.
What would those have been? Just out of curiosity.
Probably information. Probably using their expertise at making hag things for them to use. And also the promise to maybe stop eating babies so regularly.
So regularly.
Oh.
Do you mind the vegan diet? Do you mind?
Oh.
I mean, is there anything you wish had gone a little differently in that?
I would have... How do I word this? I wish she'd been a little less blunt, but at the same time, I can't see her being any other way just because she's never been the one that had to clean up after herself, if you get what I mean. She's always had her family members to help her do that, so I can't see her being any other way.
How did you... What did you think of Isadora's dynamic with the other characters?
I think Izzy just likes making people feel uncomfortable. I think she just enjoys it. She can't help herself.
Well, she made Felix very, very uncomfortable and very angry and upset.
Yeah.
I want to know why is there a particular reason why she was so afraid at the mention of spells?
I think part of it is because hags and the wizarding world, they don't exactly gel well. There's a lot of stereotypes on both sides. Some are well earned, some not so much. But I think she's just generally quite suspicious of that kind of thing. And
because she feels, I'm assuming, her people are misunderstood. She feels there's some prejudice. They just don't understand. Right.
They'd see the things in her brain and maybe interpret correctly. Who's to say? But from her point of view, they would probably misinterpret a lot of things in her head, and she did not want that.
Considering that, when she was actually hearing all of us arguing about the different things, Michael didn't even think she was really a hag, Felix was actually getting really upset, Celeste was just it's part of her nature. What was going through her head when she was hearing all of that happening, this arguing?
Confusion. Amusement. A lot of he thinks we're not real, that's adorable. I was somewhat tempted to have her kick off one of her shoes because she only has 4 toes on each foot. But
one of the roles I had you roll, Callista, was an observation to determine whether or not these people were just a bunch of muggles or more than muggles.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you didn't roll high enough, so I couldn't give you that information. And then the spell thing happened, and you're like, oh, okay. So,
Last question.
Yes, actually.
Last question for me is, considering Michael just wiped her memory, she's now going to go to a prison and not know what the heck happened. How is she going to react to that?
That is a good point. How is she going to react to that?
I think part of her is probably thinking, my dad can get me out of this. He's important. He can get me out of this. And then as it just gets longer and longer, she's like, maybe my dad can't get me out of this. Maybe I'm going to have to get me out of this.
Oh, we have 2 Kevins again.
Oh, God. I'm multiplying. Again.
Oh no.
Ah,
I just really love Isadora's confidence. Like she doesn't fight really anything. She doesn't resist. She is very compliant. And it's just very telling because she doesn't feel like she did anything wrong. And I think some of the best, if you want to refer, I don't think calling her a villain per se, whatever you want to refer to her as, some of the best quote unquote villains are ones who don't believe that they're doing anything wrong or even feel like what they're doing is very righteous. So, and I kind of think that's really an interesting way that Callista was able to portray Isadora is just you kind of in order to play a villain. I've heard a lot of actors say you have to believe you're right. You have to believe that you're right, because otherwise, getting into character as a villain just doesn't work very well. So, I applaud you for being able to do that.
Thank you.
I love this. This was so good.
Yeah, so good.
We're so good.
All right. Well, Callista, thank you again so much.
Thanks for having
I
me.
appreciate your time.
I was gonna say, anyway, you want to talk about the hag argument we had? Because there was a lot of varying opinions on what was going on with Izzy.
she's just a
Yeah.
crazy person with green eyes.
Crazy person with green eyes, two
Oh.
people who were horrifically disturbed by it, and one person's like, meh. Like,
I get it, kind
that's
of.
that's something I would actually really like to discuss more in character with everyone, because it's like, I'm not going to look at it too badly. I drink blood. So
And
it's
You know,
a really weird
absolutely
situation.
is that because it's Felix has morals and eating babies is just wrong. It's like even having to explain this just weirds him out. Why the fact that he even just explaining why eating babies is wrong is just freaks him out so much that he just becomes a stuttering mess of upset and angry.
It does make me wonder how they would react if they did find out she was a vampire, though, because this has put her way off from letting those two specifically know, because it's like they didn't even stop to think for her. So
Well,
how much is that going to put on me?
we knew you were a witch.
You guys learned that you were she's a witch, but she's more concerned about you guys finding out she's a vampire.
Yeah, fair.
Because it's like, I eat humans. Are you going to automatically say I'm evil too? Because my physiology means I have to drink blood or this
Just because you
potion.
drink blood doesn't mean you have to kill people.
That's the thing, though. Celeste is going to worry about how you would react in character. She's
Sure.
going to be super concerned about that. It was like they didn't even stop to think, like, especially Felix. He was like, he deemed her evil immediately, even though humans do the exact same thing to other animals.
well,
And just because they're human doesn't mean it's any more wrong. It just means something up is higher on the food chain, and that disturbs humans.
might think it differently because he actually thinks things through. He researches stuff. He understands history and myths about different creatures and understands them. He wants to understand them and thinks things from their perspective. So he might take a little bit time, but he might actually be quite fine with it.
Yeah.
So, understanding how because with that baby eating is really eating babies because they want to eat babies because it's delicious to them. For you, it's just different. Vampires,
Again-
it's different.
Again, it's very much in Celeste's mindset is she's specifically concerned about Felix. Because it's
Yeah.
like, if he goes off on her, like, if he starts saying that she's evil, she won't take it.
Mm.
Because he has no idea what she's experienced.
I noticed that Celeste spent a lot of time talking with Marilyn and trying to calm her down, and you know what she went through, what the poor woman went through. So, are you thinking back on yourself while she's reliving about what happened with her family, knowing that maybe not you personally, but people like you put other humans through this, or the other muggles through this, the way that she's gone through this?
I mean, she kind of looked at it in both ways, because she is a vampire. She personally avoids drinking from humans as much as possible since the potion was discovered. But she does know there are evil vampires out there who would just kill people willy-nilly. Dracula is a great example. But she also knows most of them are just trying to survive, and it's not out of malice. But at the same time, she understands the grief this woman went through because of stuff in her own backstory, because she had that same self-blame for her own situation. So it was very much, I relate to both sides. I have to stay in the middle because I get it.
No, Rodney, 0 out of 10.
We're not sure. Actually, yeah. Can you tell us, like, how did you break the news to Rodney that you were moving to DC, and like, would he have? He probably would have asked if he could like, come with you, and like you guys could be roommates there too, because he was thinking about going to DC. So.
All right, he's roommates.
Yes.
All right.
What is back?
All right. So you and Rodney are still roommates in DC, and he's trying to go for a car. So interesting. All right. We'll probably see Rodney in a future session. I'm not sure if it's going to be next session, but we'll see him in the future. But I love how Kevin's so happy about that.
Yeah.
Rodney's the best character ever.
I honestly can't tell if I love Rodney or hate him because I actually knew guys like him in high school. So it's they're not the nicest of people sometimes.
He's nice.
He's nice. He's just a bit of a ditz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a womanizer.
He is a woman. Yes.
Felix has a lot of complicated feelings about Rodney. I'll say that much.
Rodney, the way I consider Rodney to be a nice guy. He's just,
He
has vices.
Yeah.
He has vices.
A lot of vices.
Willed.
Yes.
I did have a question, Hark, because we have the IC chat thing. I know you want us to avoid any like big story stuff, but if it does come up and we mention it in the next actual session, is that okay? Because I know we've been worrying about time and stuff.
I think so. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Not now. Most of the very big secrets are out, so
yeah.
Only thing maybe out is my magic and vampire.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot that you guys don't know about Felix still. You guys don't know he can't really use magic.
I don't trust Felix.
Actually, I would know about his magic inabilities. I'm the only one who knows that he actually can't do any other spells.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Vienna knows that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I went to sell him stuff. I know about.
Right.
I research my clients.
You know about his magical.
Mageagra, yes. Try to get him some Mageagra, yes.
It's not my main product. It's something I have, yes, but I prefer to use items.
Yeah.
This really doesn't help with all the whipping of wands.
Yeah.
So, Raz, what was your main inspiration for Shiro?
When I started studying some of the other wizarding schools, his first thought was going to he was put together two different characters. So my personal life, I spent a lot of time doing martial arts. So that's why I wanted to do something with I forgot how to pronounce the Asian school name, but with that one. Yeah. But then as I was researching, I saw the whole wandless magic that Ugandu does. So I kind of put together Shiro, who was somebody who was supposed to be somebody who had broken the wizarding law and had his robes turned white, combined with the other character Uka'u Ude, who was from Ugandu.
Okay.
Wow.
I lost the archaeology buddy. Magical item buddy. No.
I would love to see Vienno confront Michael about that.
Yeah,
It seemed like
I think he would really talk to him about this because really like this guy and he would have wanted to work with him.
Yeah,
I would definitely try to save for next time, have some sort of conversation between him and Michael about just deciding without conferring with anyone else to just spray that person. Because to be fair, I think I definitely see him where he's coming from. It makes sense that he did what he did, but at the same time, I'm sure you can make some arguments as well.
yeah. It's a complicated matter considering the secrecy of the thing, but if there's one thing about this spin-off campaign, it's that our main characters are probably a lot more morally ambiguous than the main campaign. And we tend to deal with a bit darker subjects, maybe. I haven't seen the other campaign yet, so I couldn't really say, but from what Harkus said, we're the more ambiguous group and we get into more morally ambiguous situations, so
Raz, is there anything about Shiro that you'd like to share with us that you didn't have the opportunity to share or explore during the roleplay?
Something that I've been thinking a lot about, because I would assume that wandless magic takes a little bit more concentration than using a wand. He actually does study different forms of martial arts to help him with self-control and that kind of stuff. And I think it would have been kind of interesting to see some of that play out. I also would have liked to see him use a little bit more magic, but stuff happens.
He did attend Mahokatoro, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I think that your character has been mentioned during the main campaign.
That's cool.
So will, and by has I mean will, but when this video appears, you will have.
Right.
So because of how this is going to work. So yeah, I think that'll be really interesting to explore later. Would it be safe for me to say that you were one of the main... I'm just going to let you watch the campaign and see what happens.
Okay.
I'm just going to do that. So anyway, anything else for Raz specifically? Anything? Or Raz, do you have any questions? Or do you have anything else?
Would Michael have looked at the magic any different because it was wandless magic as opposed to with a wand? I don't know how much of that he's seen at this point.
Well, he's extremely new to this magic concept and spells. So I think he would have seen it as pretty much the same. Maybe even a little bit scarier, because normally, like, you know, a wand is like they're pointing it at you and, you know, there's like movement. But with yours, it's just kind of like you either mutter something or, you know, you just tap on a desk or whatever. So he kind of would have been a little bit more frightened of that, because it can catch you off guard. But one thing I did notice was how, like, your emotions played into that. And I don't know if you know me, but I'm a big Templar.
Yeah. Yes, I loved Cedric.
Yeah. And as soon as he's starting to get emotional and excited, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, I think it, like, me personally, I think it's cool, but Michael would be freaking out about that.
Had they not sprayed you and made you forget, Shiro, what do you think would have happened after they offered you a position at Orion?
I think he would need to think about it, but he would certainly consider it.
I would have someone help me build stuff. No.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just for the record, he says, I do. And with that, I have to go.
Oh, no.
All
Okay,
right,
so
thanks, guys.
We have 2 ships on this session. God damn it.
We have 2 ships.
Okay, so we had
Isadora.
Fizzadora, and what's the other one?
Yeah, what's the other one? We need another one. Would it be
Chieno.
Vero.
Vera.
It would be Vero. Vero and Fizzadora.
Oh, I love it.
Felix did not like Isadora at all.
Poor Felix had the worst luck this session. He
Yeah,
got hit on by a hag. He got hit in the face.
He got hit on by a ball.
Twice.
That was amazing.
Well, he wasn't rushed to the hospital.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
was
good.
like, yeah, he had the worst luck. Yeah,
You had the worst luck in one moment. His was spread out.
fair enough. Fair enough.
It's actually funny because he actually did fairly well with his roles tonight. It's just that it was funnier to when he messed up and he got into situations that were funnier and at his own expense.
I know.
But I am very intrigued by the astronomy zodiac symbol stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
me too.
knew
Yes.
about this. I already knew about this little bit before anyone else.
I kind of get the feeling that this is going to tie into the main campaign somehow, but
I'm wondering if we're all going to get our own bracers. I mean, rings. Because I have a feeling we're all different signs in the zodiac.
well, the Felix got the Taurus, but he's a Virgo, so Virgo's still up there.
Right. I don't know if anyone in your group is Capricorn. Right? That's what we had. You had Capricorn?
Yep.
Yep. All right. So far you have Capricorn and you have Taurus.
But I think we have
So-
people who are still compatible with the rings, though, because I know
Yeah.
I'm a Libra.
But yes.
Yeah,
You have people who are compatible.
Yeah, so.
Felix is compatible with Taurus.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to be the same sign to be super compatible with it.
I can tell you now this because it's come up in this campaign. I can turn invisible at will, and
Yeah.
I don't even need to use my wand to do that. I don't need to have my wand with me. I just think about it and I turn invisible.
So now that Felix has the Taurus symbol, what will he be able to do? Will he just be able to rewind occasionally certain events?
Yeah, so you're gonna have to roleplay that to find out.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You're gonna have to try it in character
Oh,
to
I'm
find
so
out.
happy that this.
You have someone who's very much interested in finding out how that works.
Yeah, and I love that it's the seer who gets the power of time manipulation.
I know.
It is the
Oh,
most
man.
fitting fit for him.
Well, like I said, if you noticed, I'm purposely right now, we'll see what happens in the future, but I'm purposely giving you signs that are not your own signs because I didn't want to make it seem like this obviously belongs to this character. This obviously belongs to that character.
Yeah.
It's more, just because this ended up with Felix doesn't mean that I was necessarily intending it went to Felix. I wasn't necessarily intending for it to go to Vienna. It was just, I was going to throw it in your face and you can decide what happens to it. So,
Yeah, 'cause
What would happen if someone had 2 of them at the same time?
I guess it depends on if they were compatible with both.
I have a question. Did you, when you were deciding what was going to happen with Shiro and what the incident was that when you decided you were going to throw in the ring?
I already knew that Shiro had one of the rings.
Gotcha. Was that when you,
And I already knew
was that when you
kind of-
determined what the ring would do?
I had predetermined what the ring would do.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because when I was talking to Raz about what he would have been doing to cause a disturbance, he didn't really have an idea off the top of his head. So I was like, oh well, since he already had the ring, I'll do something with that. Because my initial thought was if he came up with something himself, then I would have just had the ring happen to be lying on his desk and maybe Vienna would have noticed it, but
Yeah.
I thought this ended up working out better.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got to talk about my ring.
Yay!
I've been intrigued. I have been wondering about that ring since the first session when I first had that vision, and I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
happy about
Yeah.
And I was waiting for the right moment to actually talk about the ring.
What I do think is funny though is because like all of us were like, we have to pretend Michael's a wizard, and it's like, well, why couldn't I just say like he's my husband, and because I'm a witch, he's a muggle, it happens, and our pet magical lizard that we found off the street bit him. Like,
That's true.
Look, we were panicking at the time.
Felix was panicking at the time.
Yeah,
Felix panics a lot. Apparently.
Felix can hold his own sometime, but sometimes it.
Yeah. I do wonder how health insurance works in the wizarding world when
I
you
don't know if
have
they
a
would have
muggle when you have a muggle spouse. I don't think they have health insurance.
No, but I know in the books they never actually mentioned like the cost of getting medical help though, so maybe they have universal insurance.
It could be. That's true.
And maybe it depends on where you are.
As
too.
long as you can, somehow you'd have to prove, I guess, that you're married to Michael, I think, which would be really interesting.
No, I actually wanted
Honey,
to.
you're
Married
awake.
now? And he's like, what?
Honey, you're awake.
I am so glad we managed to get him to the hospital in time though, because I would have turned him into a vampire like that to save his ass.
Yeah.
I would have done it too, and that would have been an issue because you two would have seen it.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's only session 1.
Only session 1,
It's
but
only
yeah, like
session 1.
I didn't want to
We've
do
already
that
got
early.
someone, nearly someone's already died, and it's already session 1.
And of course it's the muggle.
Of course it's the muggle, yes.
We just pick on the muggle.
If anyone, it should be me. I can't even do magic right,
We don't know that.
and I'm the weakest one here.
I didn't want to kill the lizard.
I don't think
Oh, no.
we would have wanted you to kill that lizard.
Felix should have rewinded that moment.
You could have. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
he
have.
If he knew how to use it.
But you didn't try to use it. So.
Yeah, he could have, but he did. In a minute, it didn't seem like the bite didn't seem threatening at the time. He thought it was just a regular lizard.
Yeah. I actually just realized I have magical beast information, so I could have rolled to figure out if it was poison or not way earlier.
I think you
Forgetting
were
my
distracted.
stat.
I think you were just distracted, so it's fine.
Probably.
And I think story-wise, this works better.
Yeah.
So, thoughts on the prophecy?
I'm pretty sure we're not the one it's referring to.
Really? Who do you think it might be?
Oh man. Prophecies are tricky things.
Which 4 do you think it might be?
That's the weird thing about prophecies though, because aren't a lot of them like self-fulfilling? Like you know what's gonna happen, you're gonna try to avoid it if it's bad, but that'll just make it happen. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It'll just happen anyway.
yeah, so it's
Fine.
like, oh man, what the heck?
I'm so glad. See, this is why I'm glad we're recording this in the order that we're recording it compared to the main cast, because now I know that this prophecy is a thing. It might not have ended up in the Ministry of Magic, but that would have been really interesting if it did. But I know that it's a thing now that could be utilized later in the main campaign.
Yeah, and there is a way. I think there is a way it could end up in the main campaign. Shiro has the prophecy,
Yeah.
That's true. Shiro might have, but Shiro forgot it.
but it's written down.
But it's written down. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
He wrote it down.
And none of us took it with us.
Oh, that is true. He has it written down. That is interesting.
Yeah,
Right.
Ooh, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And since Shiro, oh, that's perfect, because since Shiro is related to the headmaster,
yeah.
I'm thinking at some point he's gonna end up visiting the headmaster at some point.
Yeah.
And
This is-
that will be really interesting.
I cannot wait
okay.
to see how this affects the main
Oh yeah.
campaign.
I know.
This will.
Oh my god. Felix has given Felix has given a prophecy about the main group.
About the main group.
Oh man, this is
We have affected it so much now. That's going to be
Yeah.
one huge effect on there.
Yeah.
On a somewhat funnier note, because I know Kevin and I were giggling about it all the time, there were way too many innuendos in this session. Everyone was whipping their wands out, showing each other their wands. It was just so much.
It's so good.
Because I have the mind of a 6-year-old, apparently.
And I like how they asked Michael to leave the room before they started whipping their
I
wands
know.
out. Like, you don't want to see this.
Oh man.
Protect
I
his
do-
virgin eyes.
Yeah.
Protect the virgin.